Hello everyone, this is Tony. Welcome back to Alsace Wine Journey. Today I'm doing a tasting of the wines of Domaine Allimant Laugner. This is part of the Alsace Digitasting Millesime 2023, and I'm so happy that I've been able to taste these wines and learn more about each of these wineries. So Domaine Allimant Laugner is now run by Nicolas Laugner. He's the 11th generation of the family. He took over the management of the property in 2013. It's located in Orschwiller, and their family history is that they have always been involved in wine and vineyards. Pre-World War II, they were just bottling their own wine, and then kind of the family was just dealing with restaurants directly and very small production. So production didn't really ramp up until after World War II, and still was very small, and really didn't really get ramped up until, very recently. So it's kind of a young winery, but I think what they've done with their wines is really magnificent. 75% of their product is exported, and I think they said about 80% of their wines right now is Cremant that they export. So a lot of it is Cremant. So they've really tapped into the market and been able to kind of grow with the modern times, which is unusual for, I think, many of the Alsace producers who are struggling to kind of get up to speed in terms of the modern world. So I think Nicolas has done a great job. I will have an interview with him on my other page, Trophy Wine Hunter, upcoming, and where we talk about different things. Really nice guy, very knowledgeable, and really modern in terms of the approach. They only have 12 hectares of vineyard, but in their tasting box, they've sent us 2 wines from different vintages from their Grand Cru site of Praelatenberg. And this is kind of important because they, in certain sites, have a certain type of rock called gneiss. And so they're the only winery in Alsace that has that. So I'm interested to kind of taste, if I can taste a little bit difference. So I'm going to start with the 2019. And so the tasting note that they provided on the Alsace Millesime site is just an intense and lemony nose that gives way to a racy, well-balanced mouth and a mineral acidity. Very small amounts of this, only 2,100 bottles. That's like so little of a wine. Yeah, so on the smell, that is consistent with their tasting notes. I smell citrusy and a little bit of lemon and a little bit of mineraliness on the wine, like a stoniness to it, but very fresh and vibrant. I really like the balance of this wine because it's got the acidity and the citrus elements, but a bit of a sweetness. The honey comes out too, and a little bit of tanginess. But the aftertaste is smooth. It's not grapefruity or grindy. So I like that. I think it needs a little bit of time to develop some of the other secondary notes to this, but it's delicious actually. Yeah, I really like the balance as compared to some of the other Rieslings I've had through this Alsace Millesime tasting. I think it's a little bit more balanced, and I really like the tanginess on the aftertaste. So the other one is the 2014. So this is almost 9 years old, and the tasting notes here is harvested in the end of September, fermented in natural yeast, shows characteristic freshness and complexity with candied citrus, fruits, mint, and a pretty smoky mineral nuance. Again, 2,500 bottles were produced, not very much of this. So on the aroma, it's a little bit more refined. It's not as tangy, not citrusy. I would say it's more almost like peach and minerals and stony, like stone fruit also. I think it's a little bit more peely than the other wine, a little bit more minerally and salty. So I think in terms of stylistically, it goes to more towards the secondary flavors rather than the fruit flavors. I actually prefer the younger vintage, the 19, a little bit more. It's different, but if I had to say, I would give the 2019 90 points, and I would give the 2014 89 points. Next, we have the 2020 Gewurztraminer. The tasting note on this is inviting and attractive, pretty nose of elderflower and sweet spice aroma, elegant palate layered with heady lychee, opulent rose, plush, juicy fresh fruit. And this is the one that got 97 points from Decanter magazine. This is a little bit more volume, 22,000 bottles. So, oh, I love the aroma on this. Very, like, a lot of rose, sweetness of honey, a little bit of spice. This is classic Gewürz aroma. A little bit powdery. Wow. Nice, I would say on the sweeter side off dry, but I like it. This is very textbook Gewürz from Alsace because it's got the sweetness, but the spice also of the Gewürz grape. Really well balanced, really interesting wine, a lot of tropical aromas and taste. Wow. This is the best example of Gewürz that I've tasted so far through the Millesime tastings. I'm going to go up to around 92 points on this wine. Again, if BC viewers will be used to kind of sweet Gewurztraminer, which is really pleasurable, actually, quite frankly, but I think this is really prototypical Gewurztraminer because Gewurztraminer needs that little bit of mustiness, spice at the end taste, along with the residual sweetness. So I think this would pair really nice with a food. But wow, this is a really, really nice prototypical Alsace Gewurztraminer. Last wine we're going to have is the 2020 Pinot Noir. So Nicolas said that 2020 was a hotter vintage, and so this is unusual for Alsace, but in fact it might actually be good because stylistically it brings out the fruit a little bit more, and so that could be kind of good for them in terms of consumer friendliness, at least in North America. One thing that you have to note about Alsace Pinots is that they're not oaked, and so that if you're a purist and you like the purity of fruit, then you'd like Alsace Pinot Noirs. Having said that, from my perspective, what it's taught me is the importance of oak, quite frankly, because I see the difference when you don't have the oak. To me, the oak kind of oak aging kind of fills out the body of the wine a little bit, and so without oak, you get the fruit flavors of cherry and strawberries and rhubarb, but it's something missing in terms of the mid palate and the body for me personally. So the tasting note on this was sustained color in a warm vintage. The nose is dried fruits and black cherry, and the palate is unctuous and floral. So 8,500 bottles of this. Yeah, so this is pretty prototypical Alsace Pinot. Again, it's got that, because it's not oaked, you get the fruit flavors, but to me, it's kind of, it doesn't have the roundness of sometimes what I'm used to tasting with Burgundy Pinots and North American Pinots. So it's in a way naked Pinot. So some people will like that in terms of the purists might like this. Yeah, it's black cherry, good intensity of flavors. I think the balance is quite good on this wine, good acidity. Again, of the Pinots that I've drank of the tastings, I think this is really quite balanced and quite acceptable for modern North American standards, what people would expect of Pinots. I find, again, the other Pinots that I've tasted from Alsace a little bit austere and a little bit, again, lacking in terms of the body. You know how when you get too much skin in your mouth, when you chomp on a bunch of grapes, that type of feel in the mouth at the end. So, delicious to me. Again, probably the best example so far I've had of Alsace Pinot. The black cherries come out. There is a bit of a peely aftertaste that's a little bit bitter, almost like grape seeds type of bitterness. But I like the wine. It's about, to me, it's 88 points. Final thoughts, very impressed with the winery. Really happy that I had a chance to interview Nicolas, talk to him. You'll see my review on my other page, Trophy Wine Hunter, shortly. Just talking to him, he's a really young guy who knows what's happening in the world. I think they're doing a great job. They're producing Cremant, which is a big seller for them. Their other wines, the Riesling is doing very well because it's small, limited production. I love the Gewurz, and the Pinot is coming along. So I think they're really a great example of what Alsace producers should be doing and how they should get their wines out to the marketplace. I wish them all the success, and I hope to see them in BC. They're not in BC yet, but I hope that they will be carried in BC shortly. Until next time, happy drinking.